Showers around. It'll be cooler still, 68 to 74. On Friday, lots of clouds, a little bit milder weather. The weekend is not looking bad. On the Money Matters Radio Network, I'm Mark Rosenthal.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? A man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $110 per month. Level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, there are great rates available for you as well. Call Term Busters for a quote. 1-800-908-7636. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-908-7636. Remember, call Term Busters. 1-800-908-7636. Sample rate for preferred non-tobacco rate class. Exam required to qualify.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear this shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
You're tuned in to Money Matters Boston, 1120 AM WBNW. This is the Money Matters Radio Network, WBNW 1120 AM and W275CM FM. Concord, Boston, the Money Matters Radio Network.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. That's 800-965-7987. Paid for by Term Direct.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. I'm joined today by Paul Lane to talk about our brand new guide, AI and Your Financial Plan. It's new for the month of July. And Paul, we're hearing companies all over the investment universe talking about how they're utilizing artificial intelligence in their workplace. And one of them that's been getting more and more mention is specifically in investment design and strategy. What are you hearing from major money managers when it comes to artificial intelligence?
One of the powerful things about AI is the ability to take vast amounts of data and synthesize it down into something comprehensive that's easily usable to run portfolio models out there. So utilizing price to earnings data and other financial metrics, these AI systems can collaborate with all of the data that they're provided and come out with an outcome to rebalance a portfolio and to make certain investment decisions over time.
Now, what I get worried about is companies starting to market this stuff as something that it's not. To your knowledge, is there anything out there that is actually recommending securities based on AI that has any sort of track record?
Not at this point in time. It's really important to note that this technology is in its infancy, and while it is exciting and there is a lot to be learned and further developed here, there is no proven case that there is a perfected AI model in place that's publicly available.
The brand new guide from the Armstrong Advisory Group for the month of July is called AI and Your Financial Plan. You can get your copy by calling 800-393-4001. Again, that's AI and Your Financial Plan. Get your free copy by calling 800-393-4001.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you from Senior Care USA. The average funeral now costs over $10,000. That leaves your loved ones the burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay your family up to $30,000 to help pay for your funeral and other expenses. There are no medical exams, your rates will never increase, and your plan cannot be canceled, regardless regardless of your medical conditions, as long as you make your premium payments. Get up to $30,000 in final expense insurance. Call now for free information. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 800-378-3818. 800-378-3818. 800-378-3818. That's 800-378-3818.
Hi, I'm Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts provides thousands of hours of voluntary services at our VA medical centers and soldiers' homes and is the only DAV department in the country to lead a veterans housing initiative for both single veterans and those with families. These programs are critical to serving our veterans in their time of need. You can help our great American heroes by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
As a busy mom, my to-do list is full.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
Visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti.
Chuck, Mark, and Tucker with you, and our top story today is the continued evolution of tariffs this week. On Monday, we saw the Trump administration send letters out to 14 different countries indicating tariff rates that would be similar, if not exactly the same, as what were to be imposed in the April 2nd announcement. President Trump last night indicated an additional 7 letters were set to go out sometime this morning, and so we'll continue to monitor to see what those look like. In addition to this, we also had the president indicate that he was going to be placing a 50% tariff on copper product imports. We have not yet seen an executive order to that effect yet, so we don't have any specifics regarding the actual implementation at this point, and indicated that he would want to impose a 200% tariff on pharmaceutical imports, but that would be phased in over a period of a couple of years. Markets have largely responded to this by saying, we're not really sure you're going to do this simply because you haven't really done most of what you've proposed this year from a tariff perspective anyways. And you can go and kind of follow the whole progress chart that we've seen on tariffs from, remember in early February, we were going to see 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada and a 10% tariff on China. The Mexico and Canada ones went away. You then had in March a 25% tariff that was going to be imposed again on Mexico and Canada. It was a delay. It ended up not going into effect. You then had the April 2nd tariffs, which then went through a 90-day delay. You had the China tariffs, which initially were at 54%, went up over 100, and now we're back down at 34. The one place that you have seen the tariffs maintained has been on sector-specific tariffs, where auto tariffs still remain at 25%. Steel and aluminum have actually gone from 25 up to 50, so maybe this is an indication that that copper one could be for real. But on the country-related tariffs, I think the market is by and large saying, we're not really going to see these, and we expect these to end up being lower than you are telling us.
Yeah, I like the way you just laid it out because there's a thread of consistency in all the seeming haphazard announcements on again, off again, and it is protecting, I'll just say what he views to be key industries, which is the oldest argument that I know of for tariffs. So if everybody remembers the infant industry arguments of, I don't know, Alexander Hamilton from history class, protect important, in that case, they were these nascent industries that they thought needed to be coddled. Didn't work, but, it worked to the extent that it allowed some people to profit greatly. The rest of us paid. I wasn't around at the time. You may be surprised. Know that?
A little surprised.
To learn that. But everybody else paid higher prices is my point. But politically it might make sense, and there's at least it's sort of coherent. So I can live with that. I disagree with slapping high tariffs on cars or copper. It makes most of us poor, but there's at least a consistent thread behind it all, as you said.
So I think we're going to have to, again, this has been kind of like the whole theme of 2025, is we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out because it obviously can evolve over the next several weeks. There is a subsequent report from the Wall Street Journal. It's actually a Wall Street Journal exclusive that President Trump wanted to impose these new higher tariff rates immediately as of today, July 9th. But was talked out of it by Scott Bessent, who said, no, I think I can get a few more deals across the finish line by the first if you give me a little bit more time here. And so, that's what we are kind of seeing as the rationale for, another 3-week delay.
Do you buy that? Do you think maybe they had that story leaked deliberately to make it sound like Trump's on a hair trigger ready to do this, and that gives Bessent more leverage? Hey, I'm just trying to get this done for you. My boss is really on my back here. Does it give Bessent more leverage, you think? Or Bessent? I'm sorry.
Honestly, I don't know how his last name's pronounced. And I say this is someone who constantly has his last name mispronounced, so I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, okay. The Treasury Secretary.
Here's the thing. We've had 2 deals to this point. The first one with the UK is pretty much, hey, you're going to pay the 10% blanket rate. There's a couple little differences on, some food imports and steel, and you get, a few cars that you can import at a cheaper rate to the United States. By and large, there wasn't much there. The Vietnam one, okay, you're going to be paying a tariff of 20% to import Vietnamese goods, 40% on transshipped goods. Again, I guess my question is, if you're threatening... I said this yesterday. If you're threatening Japan with a 25% tariff, and the best deal that you've done for your, arguably closest, ally in every respect in the world with the UK is 10, Vietnam's at 20. Where's your wiggle room for Japan? Is it I can get down to 12 or 13? Is that the best case scenario that I have? And so I guess my question is, if I'm Japan and I'm sitting there saying, well, you're threatening to tax my stuff at 25% if I send it over to you. The best case that I've seen is 10. What am I actually negotiating for if you're going to make me do all this other stuff in order to get to 10 that might not be in my economic best interest anyways? What's the actual difference? Because if you're going to make me do a bunch of stuff that's not economically best for me, then maybe an effective tariff rate of 25%, I'll just be fine with it and go with it. And I'm not saying that that's where they are, but it's just there's a pretty narrow range on this. I mean, how much difference is there between a 20 and a 25% tariff rate? I know it's 5%, obviously, but in implementation, what are we looking at here? So I think from my perspective on this, if other countries were really nervous about the implementation of these, they had the last 3 months to chat. They had the last 3 months to bring stuff to the table. I'm not saying that you won't get more countries that are able to solidify something, but I don't think that there's going to be that much wiggle room, and I don't think the Trump administration is giving them that much wiggle room based on what we've seen from the UK and from Vietnam.
I mean, there are countless domestic factors to consider. Like, I don't know what kind of pressure the Japanese government gets from its constituencies.
A ton.
Governments don't. Okay, a ton.
All governments do. All governments receive a ton of pressure from their local
and
constituencies.
How much room
the Japanese government is not responsible to the United States.
Right. No, I guess what I'm saying is that may affect their incentives to negotiate. If their producers say, we keep saying that the administration keeps saying, because I'm still convinced they don't actually know how tariffs work because they repeatedly misrepresent them, or maybe it's just framing for political purposes. I don't know. They keep saying we're going to charge Japan, but it's not, to be clear, it's not Japan that gets charged. It's companies that are doing, depending on who is at the port where it gets imported.
No, I've talked at length about, I have friends who run businesses where they import, and when a shipment comes in from DHL and it says, okay, your cost of goods is $60,000 and you've got a 30% tariff, on your Chinese imports, and pay us another $18,000. It's my friend's business who is paying the $18,000, not a Chinese company.
So maybe one public service that we can perform on the financial exchange is to clarify that it's companies, either domestic or foreign or some combination, depending on how they work it out between them, who pay tariffs. We're not charging countries. That just isn't how it works. And so I wonder how that affects the incentive of various countries to negotiate. Are they calling their exporters and asking, can you eat some of this? What are you hearing from people that you supply? How urgent is this? Can we take 6 months and make Trump sweat? I wonder what's informing their strategy on this.
I think there's there's a ton of communication that's going on this, and it's not just with the country, it's also with U.S. businesses that import that are, trying to figure out how to manage it as well. And, I have one person that I know who basically said, look, with this, China tariff, they import a lot of stuff from China, and they said the producer in China was able to eat some of the cost, the shipper was able to eat some of the cost. We're going to eat some, and we're going to have to pass some on. So a 30% increase in price that would have been 20 because of the difference between wholesale and retail. Okay, instead of it being a 20% increase in price, we can hold it down to a 5 or 6% increase in price, but it's still going to be there because all of us are just going to have to feel some of this pain. So, and these are the conversations that are going on constantly. So I think that when it comes to the tariff situation, the big thing that I continue to hear consistently is just figure out where these rates are going to be and leave them so that we can actually adjust. Because I did finally talk to my buddy who makes board games last night. After our conversation on the show yesterday, I was able to chat with him and basically learned, one of the countries that he had been trying to outsource production to was Vietnam. Ton of problems trying to do so in terms of lack of expertise. Even in Vietnam, they don't make some of the stuff that he needs to make. As an example, board games. What's one of the key things that you need for any board game, or for most board games?
Just little pieces.
Particle board?
Dice.
Okay.
Sorry, I shouldn't have.
What are they made of? Did he say?
I didn't get that into it. There are no dice manufacturers in Vietnam. If you are making a board game in Vietnam, the dice still have to be imported from China. So Vietnam, no dice. So this is a thing where he's like, okay, so now I've decided to move my production to Vietnam. Thought it was going to be this 10% tariff rate for an extended period. Now it's at 20. Plus, because the dice still have to be imported from China, that portion is going to be subject to the 40% transshipping tariff.
Whoa. Bewildering.
And so he's just like, I just need some consistency because I can't figure out how to run my business right now.
Are there substitutes for dice? Is there an electronic substitute, some sort of random number generator they could throw in there? Nothing that's as cheap as
Probably
dice.
Not that's made
or as fun as dice. Dice are uniquely
well. If you're playing a
fun.
board, if you want to play a computer game,
you got to hear that roll, man.
Yeah, you got to feel them in your hand. You got to be able to blow on them. Like, does anyone do you, when you pull the random number generator up on your iPhone, do you blow on the iPhone and then you're like, ew, I just spit on my iPhone?
That's a fair point.
More importantly, why does anyone touch dice at a casino knowing how many people have spit on them? And I say this as someone who loves to go and play some craps from time to time. But man, what a gross game when you actually think about it. Let's take a quick break on that. And when we come back, let's talk a little bit about inflation expectations right after this.
The Financial Exchange streams live on YouTube. Like our page and stay up to date on breaking business news all morning long. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Artificial intelligence continues to evolve and can now play a role in financial planning. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. There's a lot that's still unknown about the benefits of utilizing artificial intelligence, but understanding it may help you make smarter decisions about how to manage your retirement plan. We have a new guide called AI and Your Financial Plan. In it, we'll take a look at what AI does, how it works, and what risks are associated with using it. The guide is designed to provide you with a clearer picture of the tools available as you evaluate your overall strategy. If you'd like to learn more about how AI can have an effect on your financial planning, call us today at 800-393-4001. That number's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. New Englanders love the Caribbean, and now there's a Caribbean travel channel available for you to learn all about Caribbean culture while you're planning your next trip to your favorite island. The TravelShareIt.com marketplace is loaded with information about the arts, festivals, food, and music throughout the Caribbean, and is an interactive website featuring daily travel deals to any island of your choice. Book your next Caribbean vacation on the most comprehensive travel channel for the islands, TravelShareIt.com. That's TravelShareIt.com.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. We focus on the people returning from service, not their specific illness or injury. Our number one goal is to make sure our veterans have the necessary services they need, be it physical, emotional, or financial, so that their transition can be seamless. You can help our great American heroes as well by making a donation today by visiting dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
If you or a loved one needs a nursing home stay and you aren't prepared, the expense can be devastating to your savings. Understanding the Medicaid process is a key element to any successful estate plan. So call Cushing & Dolan today and request their new guide called Last Minute Medicaid Eligibility. It'll walk you through any changes to the Medicaid rules, how to adjust to those changes, and best practices that can help educate you on how to manage expenses you might incur down the road. Don't leave your assets to chance. Let the experts at Cushing & Dolan help you protect your wealth and keep it away from the nursing home. Call right now, 866-848-5699, and get your free copy of this new guide, Last Minute Medicaid Eligibility. That's 866-848-5699. You can also request the guide online by visiting their website, LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
See you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women,
taking the lives of 1 in 3.
That's more than all forms of cancer combined.
For too long, heart disease and stroke have taken the lives of the women we love.
But we're not giving up because we have something better,
stronger, more powerful.
We have each other.
When we come together and go red,
the more power we have against our greatest health threat.
Visit GoRedForWomen.org today to learn more.
Miss any of the show? Catch up at your convenience by visiting FinancialExchangeShow.com and clicking the on-demand icon, where you'll find all of our interviews and full shows. This is your home for the latest business and financial news in New England and around the country. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
This segment of the Financial Exchange brought to you in part by the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism. 3 stunning islands, St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John, all just a quick flight away. No passport required, just sunshine, soft sand, and that warm island vibe. Craving a break? Plan your fall escape now and experience the beauty of America's Caribbean paradise, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Book today at visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
The Federal Reserve Bank of New York yesterday put out their June survey of consumer expectations. The big thing that people like to look at in this is the inflation expectations number. And we saw that it came in at 3% compared to 3.2% in the prior month. What do you make of this, Mark? Is this statistical noise? Is this room for optimism? What do you make of it?
Inflation expectations have gone up according to most survey measures over the past few months. As you'd expect, people are following tariff news closely. They know that tariffs are taxes on goods. Taxes on goods increase prices. The Fed can accommodate those price increases so as to not let demand slip, which is what it's done in the modern era, and that results in a little burst of inflation. How much depends on a lot of factors, among them inflation expectations. That's why the Fed follows it closely. So what do I make of this particular reading? It's close enough to the prior reading that it may not be different, as you point out. In a statistical sense, bigger picture, expectations have gone up. This makes the Fed's job harder. Inflation, if you think about it as a process, is being driven by different things. It's partly driven by what people believe inflation will be. And as it turns out, survey-based expectations do better than more sophisticated financial market expectations. And we can get into how you calculate financial market expectations. That's not really important other than to say one comes from people, the other comes from looking at stuff that people buy, that financial market participants buy and sell. So expectations are up. That suggests that the Fed is going to be more vigilant than they were had they not risen, all else equal. On top of that, of course, output is still probably at or above trend, which suggests we're at about the economy's speed limit, which is determined by the structural forces or its productive capacity. So it's not surprising the Fed would be hesitant to ease further right now.
Mark, how much do current changes in price typically impact inflation expectations? What I mean by that is, if people see prices moving up today, does that cause them to report higher expectations for inflation in the future?
They're quite sensitive to commodity prices and to the salient stuff. Gasoline, the old chestnut among people who follow this closely is, if you want to know what inflation expectations are, just look at the price of gasoline. Food, too, because it's very conspicuous.
Sure.
So, yeah, people are, and we're all on a hair trigger now with respect to inflation. It's not something we ever paid attention to.
No, we all have PTSD from 2022
There you go.
now.
Yeah, perfect. So expectations will jump more quickly than they did previously. This is a well-documented phenomenon, not just here, but as we talked about yesterday, for you to have confidence that something should be used in forecasting, it should hold up in other markets and across time. This is the case all over the place. So this is why, again, the Fed is reluctant to ease.
And Jay Powell said as much, but I'm curious to get your opinion on this. Let's say that we didn't have these questions about tariffs. Let's say that we've gone through the first 6 months of the Trump administration, and we've had the reconciliation bill passed, and we're seeing the economic data the way it is today. I know that everything wouldn't be exactly the same because, it's a dynamic system. But let's say that aside from tariffs, things are the same. Jay Powell came out a couple weeks ago and pretty much said, yeah, there could be a case for cutting rates now if it weren't for tariffs. Is that a fair?
Well, let's go back to the framework. Let's assume that the inflation expectations component of the inflation process was stable, hadn't gone up. It's still elevated. It's still around 3. And it could be because of the inflation PTSD that you pointed out a moment ago. It could be for other reasons. I don't know. But expectations are still elevated. The economy is still, unemployment has gone up a little bit. Other measures of labor market strength have sagged a little bit, but by all measures, the labor market is still very, very strong in historical terms. Any unemployment rate in the 4s is exceptional, as is the 5s for that matter, historically speaking. So I wish Powell hadn't put it that way, because now we're all waiting for clarity on tariffs or some sort of resolution, and then you've got the green light, right? Because Powell sort of made it a prerequisite. Oh, well, as soon as that uncertainty is resolved, then he can start to cut. I wish he hadn't done that. I wish when he has to do a better job.
He boxed himself in a little bit, didn't he?
Boxed himself in, thank you. The next Fed chair, I hope, will do a better job of presenting these things in sort of a more slippery way so as to give himself or herself wiggle room.
Well, and because part of it, again, it's a dynamic system. So let's say the tariff issue does go away. Does that mean that all of the inflation issue has gone away, or does it just move from goods to services and now you've got inflation showing up somewhere else? So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we got Wall Street Watch, and Todd Lutzke joins us right after this.
Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @TFE Show. Breaking business news is always first, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. That's 800-965-7987. Paid for by Term Direct.
New Englanders love the Caribbean, and now there's a Caribbean travel channel available for you to learn all about Caribbean culture while you're planning your next trip to your favorite island. The TravelShareIt.com marketplace is loaded with information about the arts, festivals, food, and music throughout the Caribbean, and is an interactive website featuring daily travel deals to any island of your choice. Book your next Caribbean vacation on the most comprehensive travel channel for the islands, TravelShareIt.com. That's TravelShareIt.com.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. We focus on the people returning from service, not their specific illness or injury. Our number one goal is to make sure our veterans have the necessary services they need, be it physical, emotional, or financial, so that their transition can be seamless. You can help our great American heroes as well by making a donation today by visiting dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange quick tip of the day. And today we're talking about techniques that can help protect your assets from long-term care expenses last minute. Todd, what happens to your home when a spouse enters a nursing home and no planning has been done? And is it different for single individuals?
Yeah, so very good question, and the answer is yes, it is different. So let's talk about the spouse first. When you're married, if you have a spouse living in the home, regardless of the value of the home, as long as it's located in Massachusetts, it's non-countable and it's non-lienable. So it's really, truly protected. Now, don't leave it that way. Make sure you put it 100% in the name of the healthy spouse after that happens. However, for a single individual, it's a little different. As long as the value doesn't exceed $1,071,000, there's a number that changes every year. It goes up. Then it would be it would be countable if it's worth more than that. If it's worth less than that and you check a box that you intend to return home, it's non-countable, but it's lienable. But so what? Getting on the Medicaid at the Medicaid rate is better than paying privately.
Todd Lutzke and the estate planning experts at Cushing & Dolan have written a brand new guide that details last-minute Medicaid eligibility. You can request this brand new guide by calling 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can simply request the guide from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Time now for Wall Street Watch. A complete look at what's moving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Markets in positive territory despite a new round of tariff threats and a deadline delay to August 1st. Furthermore, President Trump said he would impose 50% tariffs on copper and a levy of up to 200% on pharmaceutical imports over a span of a couple of years. Right now, the Dow is up by 0.2%. S&P 500 is up 0.3% or 22 points. NASDAQ up 0.2% or 126 points. Russell 2000 up 0.4%. 10-year Treasury yield pulling back 3 basis points at 4.37%, and crude oil is off 0.7%, trading at $67.86 a barrel. With copper prices soaring in reaction to the new duties on the metal, shares in miner Freeport-McMoRan are actually down 2% now after yesterday's gains, while overseas copper producers, including Glencore and Anglo American, also falling slightly as well. Meanwhile, according to Bloomberg, Meta purchased a minority stake in eyewear giant EssilorLuxottica, as the Facebook parent already partners with the company to make Ray-Ban smart glasses. Meta shares are up 1.5%. Separately, Bloomberg also reporting that energy company AES was exploring a potential sale amid interest from infrastructure investors. That stock surging by 17%. Elsewhere, several reports say Starbucks has drawn bids for a stake in its China business. CNBC said bids valued Starbucks China up to $10 billion. Starbucks today is up by 1%. And this morning, chip and AI giant NVIDIA became the first company to hit $4 trillion in market cap, with its stock up 2% today. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch.
This is Ask Todd on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. If you have an existing estate plan or are in the market for one, Todd Lutzke is here to answer your questions and help you plan for later life. Ask Todd is presented by Cushing & Dolan, serving Massachusetts and New England for more than 35 years, helping families with estate and tax planning, Medicaid planning, and probate law. Visit CushingDolan.com. Now, here's Todd Lutzke.
We are now joined by the one and only Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan. Phone lines are open because the segment is Ask Todd, where you get to ask Todd your estate planning questions live on air right now. 888-205-2263. That is the number to call to ask Todd your estate planning questions. We usually have time for 2 to 3 of these, so get calling early, get calling often to make sure you get your question answered by Todd. That number is 888-205-2263. Again, that number is 888-205-2263, and we do have limited space on the phone lines, so get calling now. Mr. Lutzke, how are you doing today?
I am never better. And you?
I'm okay-ish.
Just okay-ish?
Well, had a doctor's appointment yesterday.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Doctor asked why I drank the brake fluid.
Brake fluid?
Told him I couldn't stop.
That would make sense.
Yeah, wasn't a good appointment.
Wasn't a good appointment.
Todd, I want to talk to you a little bit about nursing home planning and being able to qualify for Medicaid. When you look at how Medicaid examines assets and incomes of a family, what do they look at in order to determine eligibility?
So it's a little different for a single person versus a married couple.
Let's start with a single person then.
So the single person is a little easier because pretty much everything is countable. Let's start with that. But then let's try to back off assets. So you got this big pile. In order for an individual to become eligible for Medicaid, you need to have $2,000. That doesn't seem like a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. No.
So, however, if you have a house, it's your primary residence, and most people do, they can check a box on the application that they intend to return home. And as long as the value of that home is less than about $1,033,000, it varies right around there, goes up and down. And it was your primary residence, and it's located in Massachusetts, if you're applying in Mass, it'll be non-countable. Yeah, but lienable.
Okay.
So they're going to put a lien on it, but at least that won't prevent you from, it won't count towards your $2,000 limit. All the rest of the money, if you have no other real estate, all the rest of the money is countable. How do I get rid of it? Well, I can't give it away. It's too late. You got a 5-year waiting period. So the only thing you could do there is think about buying a Medicaid annuity if you need one, right? To take those dollars. It's a special annuity. You can't do this on your own. And you follow the annuity rules that do provide a payback to the state in case the annuity doesn't expire by the time you do. You convert those assets into an income stream. So if I had $502,000 of assets, I would have to take $500, leaving the $2, buy the annuity for $500, pays out over my life expectancy based on a table, and then I get this stream of income. Well, that income goes to the nursing home, but the $500,000 went away. Now it looks like I'm worth $2,000. I'm immediately eligible for Medicaid, provided, however, that it does have a payback provision in case I die.
Talking with Todd Lutzke from Cushing and Dolan. If you've got a question to ask Todd about your estate plan, phone lines still have space on them at 888-205-2263. That number again is 888-205-2263. Todd, what about the situation for a married couple? How does that differ?
Yeah, so take the same situation. I haven't discussed rental property or vacation homes. I'm just assuming a home and money. Those are the two assets,
okay.
which is mostly what people have.
Sure.
And so with a married couple, it's a little different, right? It's actually a little easier because with a married couple, you have, again, everything starts off as countable, but the home is different. The home, if the community spouse is living there and it's located in Massachusetts, there is no value limitation. Remember, we talked about the value limitation for the single person. Remember, if that home that the single person had was worth $1.5 million, hard stop, they're not eligible for Medicaid. That's a toughie. However, for a married couple, if your primary residence is worth $1.5 million or $2 million or whatever it is, doesn't matter. As long as this community spouse is living there, non-countable, non-lienable. What I would recommend, though, is that you take the jointly owned property and convey it to the healthy spouse. Don't leave it owned jointly, because if I leave it owned jointly, it's possibly going to be, I could die out of order, and then it goes back to the surviving, the sick spouse who's in the nursing home. All the rest of the money, same deal. It's all at risk, except the community spouse gets about $154,000, give or take, of money that she can reach in and take out of that pot of money, and that'll be non-countable along with the house. Everything else, countable, unless you transfer it to the healthy spouse, which you can do because that's a permissible transfer, no 5-year waiting period, and then the healthy spouse buys that same annuity that we talked about for the single person, and like magic, you're on Medicaid.
Talking with Todd Lutzke from Cushing and Dolan. If you've got a question for Todd, we do still have room on the phone lines at 888-205-2263. We are going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we're going to get to your questions with Todd. That phone number is 888-205-2263. One last time, it's 888-205-2263.
Ask Todd with Todd Lutzke every Wednesday at 10:30, only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Summer's here, New England, and it's the perfect time to trade the daily routine for something extraordinary. Say hello to the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean paradise. Explore the vibrant history and flavor of St. Croix. Lounge on the stunning beaches of St. Thomas, or find your peace on the quiet shores of St. John. From the moment you arrive, you'll feel it. You're naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no passport needed, no currency to exchange, just warm weather, clear blue water, and unforgettable experiences waiting for you. Whether you're planning a romantic escape, a family adventure, or a little of both, this is the summer to make it happen. Go to visitusvi.com to learn more and start planning. That's visitusvi.com. Your island getaway is closer than you think. The U.S. Virgin Islands, where summer never ends. Book your trip today at visitusvi.com.
Artificial intelligence is constantly evolving and can even be a revolutionary asset to a financial strategy. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Our new guide is called AI and Your Financial Plan. In it, we explain how artificial intelligence continues to make inroads into our daily lives and how the advent of its technologies may affect an existing or future financial plan. AI serves the public in a variety of ways, from apps to monitor personal finances to tools that analyze investments. AI is not the future anymore. Its effect is felt by businesses of all kinds on a daily basis. Call us today at 800-393-4001 and ask for your free guide. That number again is 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide online by visiting us at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. If you or a loved one needs a nursing home stay and you aren't prepared, the expense can be devastating to your savings. Understanding the Medicaid process is a key element to any successful estate plan. So call Cushing & Dolan today and request their new guide called Last Minute Medicaid Eligibility. It'll walk you through any changes to the Medicaid rules, how to adjust to those changes, and best practices that can help educate you on how to manage expenses you might incur down the road. Don't leave your assets to chance. Let the experts at Cushing & Dolan help you protect your wealth and keep it away from the nursing home. Call right now, 866-848-5699, and get your free copy of this new guide, Last Minute Medicaid Eligibility. That's 866-848-5699. You can also request the guide online by visiting their website, legalexchangeshow.com. That's legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
You're listening to Ask Todd with Todd Lutzke on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Talking with Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing and Dolan. Todd, we talked about the assets that are potentially at risk and income streams that are potentially at risk in the event that you have a long-term care situation.
Yeah.
Given all of that money that could be at risk, at what age does someone need to start getting their estate plan in order for potential long-term care situations?
I would say, I just as a general rule, I say, 60 and over, if they come in and they are talking about doing long-term care planning, I would say, 60 and over is a time in which I'm going to at least ask the question because, it takes 5 years to protect stuff. And I know we've been talking about last minute planning a minute ago, but if you want to avoid that problem, it does take 5 years. So, if I can have this in my rearview mirror by the time I'm 65 or 70, why not?
Is there downside to doing it sooner than that? Let's say that you're 55 and you say, hey, should I start getting, things in order for potential long-term care situations? Is there a problem with going that route?
Well, I mean, when you're younger, you probably have younger children. You might not want them serving as trustee yet. You might need more access to the assets to pay for college, or mortgages exist on houses. So yeah, there can be some issues when you're younger that you might just not be ready for that irrevocable trust. You haven't quite settled down yet. So
let's go forward now. Let's say that someone is approaching a nursing home situation where, their health is failing, spouse can't keep them at home, or maybe they're just not, maybe they don't have a spouse. How does qualifying for Medicaid to cover the cost of that nursing home actually work? Like, what are the steps that are involved in being able to say, I'm going to have Medicaid cover the cost of this long-term care situation?
Yeah, so this is more back to that last-minute idea, right? If you've not planned, if you have planned, there's always going to be some assets that are sort of kicking around that you have to deal with. And so the process itself is pretty arduous. I mean, you basically come in, you explain how all the assets are owned. You decide what assets are countable, what assets are not. Like a house we talked about might not be countable. Perhaps a rental property is not countable if it's making money, if it's generating income essential to self-support but lienable. So you have to rearrange all the assets to find out what's countable and what's non-countable. Once you do that and you've met the financial requirements of eligibility, again, for a married couple, that would be $154,000-ish for the healthy spouse, $2,000 for the sick spouse, and one home. So when you meet that eligibility requirement, now you can begin the application process. But the application process is going to require, 5 years worth of bank statements, 5 years worth of brokerage statements, birth certificates, social security card, 3 years worth of tax returns, on and on. There's a list.
So it's not a simple and easy process is what you're telling me.
No, not at, in fact, we do it all, but you got to help me help you by providing that support for everything I put on the application. Then you file. Then you wait 30 days for them to sniff it over and come back and say, you know what? We need more stuff. And then you have 30 days to get that more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wait another 30 days, and if all has gone well, you should get a letter of eligibility, retroactive back to the day we said you were financially eligible, the day we proved that you were financially eligible for Medicaid. So it's a process, but it's one worth going down that road if you can save these assets. So, folks, we're talking now a little bit about what to do last minute. We just talked about the application process itself, which is time-consuming and a little arduous, but again, the lawyers do most of the work. However, what do we do last minute to make sure these assets aren't taken? And that's what this guide is all about. Whether you're married or single, the rules are different, right? So how you treat assets that are countable, non-countable, think about a home, a vacation home, a rental property. What about life insurance? What about annuities, 401ks? They're all treated differently, and there's even some information in here about how you can transfer some of these assets last minute without the 5-year waiting period. So don't just write the check, folks. Call and get the guide. Last minute Medicaid eligibility techniques to save it. And it's for people who have planned and people who have not planned. 866-848-5699 or legalexchangeshow.com. Again, 866-848-5699 or legalexchangeshow.com.
Todd, as you're trying to navigate that situation, and let's say that again you've got a Medicaid situation or a nursing home situation rather, that you're trying to qualify for Medicaid on. Are there any differences from state to state in how that works in terms of qualifying, or is it largely the same between most states, depending on where people are listening right now?
I'm going to say that largely it's the same because it's a federal statute that is implemented by the state, but they are not all the same, right? Like, for example, in Massachusetts, the value of a home, when we talked about a single person, the value of the home was when the state passed the Medicaid laws in 2006, they said a home will be considered non-countable unless the value exceeds $750,000 or $500,000, depending on where you live, right? Because certain states have higher value real estate than others. So they put that option in there, and the state got to pick which value they used. And, of course, those were indexed for inflation. So that's why we're at $1 million plus in Massachusetts today. So Massachusetts opted for the 750 valuation, whereas many other states that didn't opt for that, 500 was enough to make it non-countable because most of the values of the real estate in that state were lower, and so that would be a difference. But generally the rules are pretty uniform.
Todd, I know that with the latest reconciliation bill that just passed Congress and was signed by the president, there are some changes to Medicaid that happen as we go out a couple of years from now. Do any of those impact Medicaid coverage of nursing home costs?
Yeah, the good news is not really, except, interestingly enough, this valuation on the home thing, right? They've now decided to make it uniform and make the value $1 million on the house going forward.
Across the board.
I'm still digesting the bill as we speak, but it appears to me that it's going to be across the board. The thing I'm waiting on is it going to remain indexed for inflation? And then the question is, if you're already at $1.1 million like we are in Mass, is it going to fall back to $1 million, or do we stay at $1.1 million and go forward? These are some things that we need to work out, but nevertheless, folks, that's what I have for today.
Mr. Lutsky, thank you so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
This has been Ask Todd on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Ask Todd with Todd Lutsky has been presented by Cushing & Dolan, serving Massachusetts and New England for more than 30 years, helping families with estate and tax planning, Medicaid planning, and probate law. Call 800-393-4001 or visit CushingDolan.com. The views expressed in this segment are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Armstrong Advisory does not provide any legal or tax advice. Please consult with your legal or tax advisor on such matters. Cushing & Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Still got a bunch more to come that we have to get to, including some chatter about who may or may not be the next Fed chair. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on with the housing market, with sales continuing just to move rather slowly. And then also, we're going to be chatting a little bit about a major shakeup in the C-suite ranks for Apple. What's going on there, and what does it mean for future leadership of the company? We'll get all that and more coming up in hour number 2.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll
see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
This is the Money Matters Radio Network, WBNW 1120 AM and W275 CM FM, Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you from Senior Care USA. The average funeral now costs over $10,000. That leaves your loved ones the burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay your family up to $30,000 to help pay for your funeral and other expenses. There are no medical exams. Your rates will never increase, and your plan cannot be canceled, regardless of your medical conditions, as long as you make your premium payments. Get up to $30,000 in final expense insurance. Call now for free information. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 800-378-3818. 800-378-3818. 800-378-3818. That's 800-378-3818.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Summer's here, New England, and it's the perfect time to trade the daily routine for something extraordinary. Say hello to the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean paradise. Explore the vibrant history and flavor of St. Croix, lounge on the stunning beaches of St. Thomas, or find your peace on the quiet shores of St. John. From the moment you arrive, you'll feel it. You're naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no passport needed, no currency to exchange, just warm weather, clear blue water, and unforgettable experiences waiting for you. Whether you're planning a romantic escape, a family adventure, or a little of both, this is the summer to make it happen. Go to visitusvi.com to learn more and start planning. That's visitusvi.com. Your island getaway is closer than you think. The U.S. Virgin Islands, where summer never ends. Book your trip today at visitusvi.com.
Did you outgrow your timeshare and now you want out? But you can't. You can't sell it, and you can't get out of the contract. Imagine trying to get out of your mortgage. That's what a timeshare is. You can't just call up the bank and say, I don't want to pay it anymore. But we may be able to help you do just that. Listen, a timeshare maybe for you once was a great thing, but now you don't use it much. And they are not easy to get rid of. Plus, you do have to pay for it every month. Qualified timeshare owners can get out of their contract legally and permanently without ruining your credit or even filing bankruptcy. And imagine no more mortgage payment or fees. Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline qualification line now. It's free to learn more.
800-455-7967. 800-455-7967. 800-455-7967. That's 800-455-7967. Paid for by Timeshare Defense.
Changes to Medicaid occur almost every year, and if you're not informed, your assets could be at risk, especially if you or your spouse need nursing home care. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law, and their new guide is called Last Minute Medicaid Eligibility. It'll help you understand the Medicaid process, which is critically important if you're retired or getting close to retiring. The guide has important information regarding numerous strategies that can protect your assets from the nursing home. It could be your primary home, a vacation home, or any rental property you may own. You've worked hard to achieve wealth, so don't take chances when it comes to protecting it. Get your copy of Cushing & Dolan's brand new guide called Last Minute Medicaid Eligibility. Call right now, 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. I'm joined today by Paul Lane to talk about our brand new guide for the month of July, AI and your financial plan. Paul, one of the big areas that is a pain point for a lot of folks is working on their budget. It's kind of the step one for your financial plan. And I know there's a number of tools that are starting to incorporate AI in their budgeting plans. How is this starting to work and benefit folks?
Yeah, like you mentioned, Mike, it's an area which is really difficult. You ask a lot of the clients that we meet with on a regular basis, how much do you spend on a monthly basis? Simple question, but hard to come up with that answer. What these AI tools can do is aggregate all of your total spending together, categorize different areas, and use that data to try and project what you may spend in the future. This is a critical step in the retirement planning process to get a sense for what are you spending today and can you afford to spend that much in the future. It is important to note, certainly, that there are drawbacks that come with it too.
Yeah, talk to me.
This is a technology that's in its early stages, and it's only as good as the data that's fed to it. There can be some issues sometimes with properly categorizing certain types of expenses over time, and as such, you have to be very careful when you're using this type of technology and perhaps vet it against your own assumptions through that old school spreadsheet fashion as well.
It's always a good idea, but especially when we're talking about brand new emerging technologies. Folks, the brand new guide from the Armstrong Advisory Group is all about AI and how it could affect your financial planning strategy. If you would like to get your free copy, call the Armstrong Advisory Group at 800-393-4001. The guide again is AI and your financial plan. It's available at 800-393-4001.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti.
Chuck, Mark, and Tucker with you, and markets are up modestly, giving up some of their gains from earlier in the day as we continue through the morning. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 85 points, about 0.25%. S&P is up 15 points, about 0.25%. And the NASDAQ up 95 points, about 0.5%. All these only up about a third as much as they were shortly after the open. The S&P has gone from being up about 40 points down to, where it is now. So you still have some positive momentum in stocks today, but questions about, is it going to be able to, pop to new all-time highs again, or, are we going to give some of those gains back here? So we'll see what ends up happening. 10-year Treasury yields moving down a touch with the 10-year at 4.383%, down 3.4 basis points. Oil, West Texas Intermediate, off 3 cents a barrel to $68.30. Not much real movement there. And gold today is up $4 an ounce to $33.20.90. Quite honestly, this might be the most boring week of the year from a news and earnings perspective. The only thing of any note this week, we get weekly jobless claims tomorrow. Other than that, let me know if any of these earnings get you interested today. So
tomorrow's Delta, right?
Tomorrow is Delta, which again, it's a $29 billion company. Yes, they fly a lot of planes and stuff, but as far as like bellwether for everything.
Yeah,
like,
it's 30 seconds.
Today, I'm looking at this. I pulled the earnings list from a website called Trading Economics. The only company that is listed as reporting today in the United States has a market cap of $2.7 billion and is just called AZZ. AZZ. I don't know what they do. I don't know where they're from. But AZZ is reporting today. So there's that.
It's a hot dip galvanizer.
Hot dip galvanizer. Can I get two?
Metal coatings company.
Oh, so it's not like a Dairy Queen situation. No, not that kind of dip. Okay, gotcha. Anyways, we got a Wall Street Journal exclusive that came out this morning, or actually late last night at 9 p.m. And the title on it is Two Kevins Battle to Be Next Fed Chair in Trump's Apprentice-Style Contest. Now, we've actually been able to get some early footage from this, and I'm going to have Tucker play it now just so that we can get a little bit of an inside look here. So, obviously that's, from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, but this is what this feels like. It's two Kevins enter, one Kevin leaves is basically where it seems like we're heading. Now, Mark, I'm trying to just think about this from a few different perspectives. The first is, it would seem to me that when picking a Fed chair, one of the first things that you would look for is relevant monetary policy experience. Is that a...
Depends on what you're... I think...
not necessarily.
In economic models, I think it's optimal to pick someone who will behave like a strict... This is going to sound a little technical, but it's perfectly understandable. Sure. It's plain English. You want a strict inflation... You want someone who targets inflation monomaniacally. I'm phrasing it a little differently than monetary policy economists would, but someone who's concerned mostly about inflation. Outcomes have been shown to be best when your head of central bank, we call it the Fed, ECB is Europe's name for it, Bank of Japan, etc. They all mean the same thing. You want someone who is more conservative than your politicians are. And the key example of that, of course, is Paul Volcker.
So we've got the two Kevins, Kevin Hassett, who is the head of the Council of Economic Advisors, and Kevin Warsh, who... Warsh is not at the Fed currently, is he?
I think he's back at Stanford.
Is he? But previously was at the Fed for a number of years. And so just if you're looking at like the qualifications of the two, it would seem that Warsh is eminently more qualified to head the Fed than Hassett.
Hassett's got the PhD. I don't know about Warsh. I like Warsh personally. He's a hard money guy, meaning he puts a lot of weight on keeping inflation low and stable relative to goosing output, which is where central banks get into trouble, like our Fed did in the 1970s. But Hassett's the more accomplished economist. I don't know if Warsh could read a modern paper in economics, candidly. Maybe he can. Maybe I'm being unfair to him. I just don't get how somebody without graduate level training could. Hassett can. He's a respected researcher. He's carrying a lot of water for the guy he works for now, but that's normal. We all do that. I don't hold that against him.
Everyone
so I don't
does
know,
that
Chuck.
in their own respect.
I like what Warsh has said in the past. You didn't ask me my opinion. Hassett is, objectively speaking, probably better trained.
Interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that.
I don't think Warsh has a master's or a PhD in econ. He might.
I just figured his experience at the Fed would be more relevant in this case.
I think you have to understand when your PhD staff comes to you with the results of a model, you have to be able to push back and say, let's break open the model and find out why it's telling us what it is. Hassett can probably, I don't know how long it's been since he did serious work, but he could probably do that. I don't know that Warsh can. He might have a problem similar to Powell's, in that you become very dependent on staff.
Let's get to kind of, because I think Powell's kind of instructive on this in my thinking, in that Powell, when he was put into his position, he was put there by President Trump during his first term, and subsequently was asked to continue on by Joe Biden during the Biden presidency. And so I guess the question that I have is, aside from just wanting to have the title of Fed chair.
Yeah.
this seems like a really difficult position to be going into because, on one hand, it's very clear that the president wants lower interest rates. But when it comes to the Fed actually going and putting lower interest rates into effect and how they make their decisions, it is not simply the decision of one Jay Powell or Kevin Hassett or Kevin Warsh who does so. It's the Fed Open Market Committee that decides what to do.
Yes.
And so I guess what I see here is a scenario where whoever is coming in is going to be viewed, rightly so, as someone who is going to try to lower interest rates because that's what the president is telling them to do. I know that we talk about, Fed independence, but it's pretty clear that President Trump wants someone who is going to push for lower rates. And by the way, when you hear both Hassett and Warsh talk right now, the only thing they talk about is we need to lower interest rates. So they are campaigning for the job right now as we speak.
They may believe that. There's actually a good case for it, but what happens when the facts change and they have to raise interest rates at a time when it's uncomfortable to do so? Every Fed chair is faced with that.
And I think this is the piece that I think is going to be challenging for whoever ends up in that role.
Sure.
Is they're going to be faced with either the other 11 members of that committee coming from a different place than they are potentially, or the president not being happy with them because they're not following through on what they've talked about over the last several months.
If you look at the Fed chairs since the end of, in the modern era, the end of the war, end of World War II, with the exception of, I'm just going to, Martin, Burns, Miller, Volcker, Greenspan, Bernanke, Yellen, Powell. I think I got them all there.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
I thought you were saying with the exception, and I'm listening
sorry,
to you
I wanted
listing
to take
off
through
all of them.
How many of those people got out of that job with their reputation burnished?
Intact?
Even intact. Greenspan got out of it with his rep intact, but not unsullied.
Greenspan deserves more blame for
maybe. Go ahead. I don't even want to get into that. But
can we talk about it a little bit?
Sure. Go ahead. Sorry.
So there's two things that I think Greenspan deserves a little bit of blame for. The second one's going to be surprising to people because it happened after his watch, actually. The first is obviously tech bubble and the subsequent popping and how things were handled there. You could even make the case that wasn't so much a Greenspan thing. It was more a fiscal thing that was going on.
At the time, nobody thought that he should have done more than he did, to be honest.
The place that I will go to, and this is not a monetary policy thing necessarily, but hey, you're Alan Greenspan, you're still, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Buck stops here is kind of my thinking. One of the major reasons for the financial crisis was regulation that changed under Greenspan that required less collateral for highly rated debt that was securitized. And you can basically draw a straight line from that to the financial crisis.
He should have been more prescient. A lot of people take blame for that, probably. I guess what I wanted to say is of all those names that I ticked off, how many came out of there with a better reputation than maybe Janet Yellen?
Volcker?
Volcker, certainly. Sterling. He's the gold standard. But it's Volcker is Zeus, and everybody else is like a 3-tier down, whatever they call them, demons in Greek mythology. Like there's Volcker, and then there's everybody else, and it ain't even close.
No.
So my point is it's a really hard job. You're not only never going to please everybody, you're not even going to please like most people some of the
It's kind of like being Speaker of the House. Like it's the last job you have before you go on the speaking circuit.
Yeah, right.
It's the Lifetime Achievement Award, and you're just not going to be liked by everyone because you're Batman. You either die the hero or live long enough for people to turn you into the villain is kind of how it is, right?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about central banking that way.
That's kind of how it is. The head of the Fed is Batman.
I mean, you're always making decisions in the midst of a fog of noisy data. You're going to get nearly half of them wrong.
Well, and no matter what decision you make, you get criticized. When interest rates were too low,
please everybody.
All you heard during the 2010s was, oh, no one can make any money on their savings. Like it's hurting seniors. I'm not saying this isn't true. I'm just saying this is what people said. It's like, oh, like you can't earn any interest at banks anymore, blah, 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 blah. It's pushing people out on the risk curve, yada, yada. Now all that you hear is, oh, it's so expensive to buy a house. No one can afford real estate. Like you can't say both of those things all the time. Like, you can't just, there's no mythical right level for rates where you can earn enough interest and it's cheap enough to buy a house. Something has to give.
Satisfying the dual mandate is hard enough. If we make that a tripartite mandate where the third part is Trump and not incurring his wrath, it becomes absolutely impossible. They're going to be getting hit by Elizabeth Warren on the left, who wants low rates a lot, by some hard money Republican or somebody like me on the right who wants them to pursue inflation reduction more aggressively. And then you're going to be getting hit by Trump, and who knows what is.
And then all of us who are just yelling at anyways,
and
and just
we'll
like
all
being,
be critical.
you know,
The whole
chaotic,
peanut
whatever.
gallery. Yeah. Right.
So I got to say, I really don't think I'd like to be Fed chair. So I'm taking myself out of the running.
Well, even if you're terrible at it, though, you could cash in after your stint.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you get $250 grand.
I was just going to say, you get $250 grand.
Yeah, you get $250 grand for showing up for 20 minutes. I'll do it. It's fine. It's a good deal. But having said that, no, I don't need that. Tucker, you can be my emissary to the Fed. You can handle.
What does
those
that
guys.
pay? Good.
I don't pay you anything.
Oh, forget it.
No. You just show up. You get steaks. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got trivia right after this.
The Financial Exchange Show podcast drops every day on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. You're listening to the Financial Exchange Radio Network. An unexpected nursing home stay can be devastating to your savings. Call Cushing & Dolan today and request their new guide called Last Minute Medicaid Eligibility. Protect your assets from the nursing home and maintain your wealth. Call right now, 866-848-5699. Or request the guide online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Artificial intelligence continues to evolve and can now play a role in financial planning. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. There's a lot that's still unknown about the benefits of utilizing artificial intelligence, but understanding it may help you make smarter decisions about how to manage your retirement plan. We have a new guide called AI and Your Financial Plan. In it, we'll take a look at what AI does, how it works, and what risks are associated with using it. The guide is designed to provide you with a clearer picture of the tools available as you evaluate your overall strategy. If you'd like to learn more about how AI can have an effect on your financial planning, call us today at 800-393-4001. That number's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Summer's here, New England, and it's the perfect time to trade the daily routine for something extraordinary. Say hello to the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean paradise. Explore the vibrant history and flavor of St. Croix, lounge on the stunning beaches of St. Thomas, or find your peace on the quiet shores of St. John. From the moment you arrive, you'll feel it. You're naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no passport needed, no currency to exchange, just warm weather, clear blue water, and unforgettable experiences waiting for you. Whether you're planning a romantic escape, a family adventure, or a little of both, this is the summer to make it happen. Go to visitusvi.com to learn more and start planning. That's visitusvi.com. Your island getaway is closer than you think. The U.S. Virgin Islands, where summer never ends. Book your trip today at visitusvi.com.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. That's 800-965-7987. Paid for by Term Direct.
The Financial Exchange is live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132, weekdays from 11 to noon. Get the latest business and financial news from across the country and around the world, and keep up to date on how it might affect your wallet. That's the Financial Exchange, weekdays from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Time for trivia here on the Financial Exchange, and on this date in 1956, Dick Clark appeared as the host of a local TV show in Philadelphia, leading to his becoming America's forever ageless teenager. Trivia question today: what was the name of that local Philadelphia TV show? Once again, what was the name of that local Philadelphia TV show with Dick Clark? Be the fourth person today to text us at 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, and you win a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Once again, the fourth correct response to text us to the number 617-362-1385 will win that t-shirt. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
Got a piece here from Market Watch. The headline on it is home sellers have gotten tired of cutting prices, so they're yanking their houses off the market. And if you're listening from, up in the Northeast where our show is based, this is not really a thing that you see a ton, just because inventory in the Northeast and in the Midwest is still well below June of 2019. So if you're comparing this kind of apples to apples, like June of 25 to 19, most of the Northeast is still like 40% below June of 19 levels. The Midwest is in a similar boat. Even as you get out to, places like, Utah and places like that, you're still in a decent spot. In the southern part of the country, and now pushing out to much of the west as well, you've got inventory levels that are either at or well in excess of 2019 levels. Florida is an example, currently running 28% above June 2019 levels. Texas, 33% above. Tennessee, 30% above. Colorado, 34% above. Arizona, 28% above. And so you've got falling prices that sellers are not willing to take. And so they're yanking their properties off the market rather than cut them. You're still seeing a high number of price cuts, but there is all kinds of mess in the housing market in much of the country right now. And so it's something where the data is really pointing to two things that are going to happen. Either you're going to have to see prices fall further, or inventory is going to have to be pulled from the market in order to support prices, and you're seeing a combination of those two things right now. But you still have more new inventory coming on, so inventories are growing overall, even as people are pulling listings that have been sitting for months on end at this point. The housing market is not in a good spot in much of the country right now. Your thoughts, Mark?
Hey, how many of these delistings get listed again quickly? They're not following individual people here, listings over time. These are just aggregates. So it could be that a good fraction of the, say, 50% rounding up of the delistings that this article says occurred in May year over year were quickly relisted the following month. We don't really know if they're...
No, we don't know. And some of this is just like trying to keep a property fresh where you pull it for a few months and then you list it again. And
you fire your realtor or something. And
exactly. But what we are seeing is throughout the southeast part of the country, there are some real issues, including one of the things that's starting to crop up there is for, depending on the market you're in, if you were buying in 2022 in kind of that Austin, Texas area, or 23 in parts of Florida, kind of that Cape Coral area, you're starting to see an increasing number of properties that have negative equity. And this is a problem, obviously, if you are trying to sell, simply because it means you have to pay a bunch of money in order to sell your property then. And so there are some real issues that are starting to pop up in some of these markets at this point. It's not going to cause anything close to what we saw in 2008. Like, it's not a housing crisis issue because this is not an affordability-driven. And when I say it's not an affordability-driven problem, it's not people who are unable to afford their mortgage payments. Home equity levels in general are very high. Mortgage payments relative to incomes as a whole are pretty manageable. But this is something where the housing market has all kinds of wrenches in its gears right now, and it's going to take quite a bit of work to try to get it, moving again, just because prices for new construction are completely out of whack with where prices are on the resale market. And so I just don't know how this squares away easily. It might be a year or two of slog before this thing gets moving again consistently. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got the trivia answer and Wall Street Watch.
Bringing the latest financial news straight to your radio every day. It's the Financial Exchange on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Did you outgrow your timeshare and now you want out? But you can't. You can't sell it, and you can't get out of the contract. Imagine trying to get out of your mortgage. That's what a timeshare is. You can't just call up the bank and say, I don't want to pay it anymore. But we may be able to help you do just that. Listen, a timeshare maybe for you once was a great thing, but now you don't use it much. And they are not easy to get rid of. Plus, you do have to pay for it every month. Qualified timeshare owners can get out of their contract legally and permanently without ruining your credit or even filing bankruptcy. And imagine no more mortgage payment or fees. Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline qualification line now. It's free to learn more.
800-455-7967. 800-455-7967. 800-455-7967. That's 800-455-7967. Paid for by Timeshare Defense.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
Artificial intelligence is constantly evolving and can even be a revolutionary asset to a financial strategy. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Our new guide is called AI and Your Financial Plan. In it, we explain how artificial intelligence continues to make inroads into our daily lives and how the advent of its technologies may affect an existing or future financial plan. AI serves the public in a variety of ways, from apps to monitor personal finances to tools that analyze investments. AI is not the future anymore. Its effect is felt by businesses of all kinds on a daily basis. Call us today at 800-393-4001 and ask for your free guide. That number again is 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide online by visiting us at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange quick tip of the day. And today we're talking about techniques that can help protect your assets from long-term care expenses last minute. Todd, is the healthy spouse allowed to keep anything when the sick spouse enters a nursing home? And what happens if the sick spouse has the majority of the income?
Great question, because when you're talking about applying for Medicaid last minute, or when someone enters a nursing home and you want to do this last minute, they're going to look at both assets and income, right? So from an asset standpoint, as a married couple, they do allow you to keep approximately $148,000. That piece is indexed for inflation or changes every year. The sick spouse is allowed to keep $2,000. So you're around $150,000 of total assets that you can keep. By the way, if you're single, you only get to keep $2,000 in assets. From an income perspective, the good news is that the healthy spouse can keep all of the healthy spouse's income, Social Security, pension, you name it. And so it does not matter how much income the healthy spouse has, but they are entitled to at least a minimum monthly maintenance needs allowance, but no maximum.
Todd Lutzke and the estate planning experts at Cushing & Dolan have written a brand new guide that details last-minute Medicaid eligibility. You can request this brand new guide by calling 866-848-5699. That number again is 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Time now for Wall Street Watch. A complete look at what's moving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Markets in positive territory today with the new round of tariff threats and a deadline delay to August 1st. In addition, President Trump said he would impose 50% tariffs on copper and a levy of up to 200% on pharmaceutical imports over a span of a couple of years. Right now, the Dow is up by 0.1% or 69 points. S&P 500 up nearly 0.3%, 17 points higher. NASDAQ up over 0.5% higher, 113 points. Russell 2000 is flat at the moment. 10-year Treasury yield pulling back 4 basis points, now at 4.37%. And crude oil up about 0.25% higher, trading at $68.51 a barrel. Breaking news out of social media platform X this morning, where Linda Yaccarino announced she is stepping down from her role as CEO after 2 years. Meanwhile, according to Bloomberg, Meta purchased a minority stake in eyewear giant EssilorLuxottica as the Facebook parent already partners with the company to make Ray-Ban smart glasses. Meta shares are up by about 1.5%. Separately, Bloomberg also reporting that energy company AES was exploring a potential sale amid interest from infrastructure investors. That stock jumping over 16% higher. Elsewhere, several reports say Starbucks has drawn bids for a stake in its China business. CNBC said bids valued Starbucks China at up to $10 billion. Starbucks now dipping after trading higher in earlier trade. And earlier this morning, chip and AI giant NVIDIA became the first company to hit $4 trillion in market cap, with its stock up over 2% today. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch. And the trivia question we asked in the previous segment was, what was the name of the local Philadelphia TV show hosted by Dick Clark? That would be Bandstand. 1 year after Dick Clark took over hosting duties of Bandstand, the show was picked up by ABC to be aired nationally, and the name was changed to American Bandstand. Tom from Ogunquit, Maine is our winner today, taking home a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Congrats to Tom. We play trivia every day here on the Financial Exchange. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
We got a piece here from Barron's. It's titled, Americans Are Eating Cheaper, What That Means for the Economy. What does it mean, Mark?
I don't know exactly. There's a bunch of anecdotes here about people spending less, particularly on high-end restaurants, and that may bode ill for spending overall, which is sort of a common sense deduction, I guess. People are shifting toward cheaper ways to get the nutrients that they need is a very, I guess, cold and clinical way of looking at it.
Sure.
Should we buy that? I don't know. I'm looking at, as anybody can do, you just Google personal consumption expenditures and food category specifically, and the St. Louis Fed's charting tool comes up, and you can manipulate it, and you'll see there that spending on food is actually increased. It's leveled off lately, but been increasing steadily year over year since 2024. I'm not getting into how people buy their food, and might there be something to buying less of it at high-end restaurants? Maybe they're just sick of it, paying a lot and tipping a lot, and they want to eat at home more. I really don't know, but I see nothing in the trend growth rate of spending on food over the past few years to suggest that that's changed. Again, how they spend that might be different. Go ahead.
It seems like, and this is just talking about what we're seeing from publicly traded companies in the restaurant space and in the grocery space. We can talk about kind of what they're telling us. There's definitely a volume issue at a lot of publicly traded restaurants. We're seeing declining sales, declining traffic, whether you're looking, McDonald's, Wendy's, Chipotle, I think, had something. Tucker, who was the one that was up like 31%? It wasn't Applebee's, but it was Chili's. Who is, apparently people are finding great value at Chili's, I guess, because their sales are through the roof. But there are a lot of people in that space that are saying, yeah, there's some problems and we're not seeing the traffic coming through the way that we used to. And the speculation is, okay, people are, trading down or, eating more meals at home. Maybe, like, that could be something that's happening. But I guess in terms of, like, does this mean anything for the U.S. economy? It means something if that spending is not being replaced elsewhere. So we've also talked about how we're seeing not just anecdotes, but data stories. Like, you go through just about anything, that airline bookings and hotel bookings are down, and not just, hotel, but Airbnb as well. Like, you're seeing this across the board. There's less expensive travel that's happening and less distant travel that's happening. Okay, that could be bad for the U.S. economy, but maybe it's because people are buying a whole bunch of other stuff and the spending is just shifting around and moving to a different place.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't think you can necessarily draw anything good or bad or ugly from it. It's just something that's happening right now and we don't really know anymore. And if we, had a dime for every time we predicted recession because of one bad thing happening that didn't turn out to be a recession, you and I would no longer be working. We would be counting our dimes, all billions of them.
One thing that came out of this, not related really to the article, which I didn't find that helpful, but these people have to crank out stuff every day, so they reach, much like we do, for stuff to sort of fill their required content space with. Spending on food is a percentage of overall spending. In the 1950s, we spent on average 20 cents of every dollar of overall spending now on food. That number has been about 7%. It leveled off at 7% about 20 years ago, and that's where it has stayed.
It ticked up a little bit in like 21 and 22, and
You're
I think that's
right,
what made people a little bit upset back then. Yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It did. And since has receded back to its what appears to be stable until the structure of the economy changes, people's preferences change, stuff like that. What appears to be a relatively stable level in the mid-high single digits. I had no idea that was the case, that one out of every $5 we spent in the 1950s was on food, and it's now less than half that amount.
I believe economists would call that an increase in the standard of living.
They'd call it an increase in your real income.
Yeah.
Summer's here in New England, and it's the perfect time to trade the daily routine for something extraordinary. Say hello to the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean paradise. Explore the vibrant history and flavor of St. Croix, lounge on the stunning beaches of St. Thomas, or find your peace on the quiet shores of St. John. From the moment you arrive, you'll feel it. You're naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no passport needed, no currency to exchange, just warm weather, clear blue water, and unforgettable experiences waiting for you. Whether you're planning a romantic escape, a family adventure, or a little bit of both, this is the summer to make it happen. Go to visitusvi.com to learn more and start planning. That's visitusvi.com. Your island getaway is closer than you think. The U.S. Virgin Islands, where summer never ends. Book your trip today at visitusvi.com.
Why car makers need to bring back buttons. This is a piece from the Financial Times. And in the aftermath of the release of the Tesla Model 3 7 or 8 years ago, you saw car companies around the world just go nuts being like, oh, all we need are touchscreens. We can get rid of all the buttons. And it turns out that cars without buttons, people don't really like them because when you're driving, the button lets you have that tactile sensation of, oh, I'm turning the air conditioning knob 3 clicks this way, or I push the, This button here, you can feel without looking.
Yeah.
With the touchscreen, you have to look, and unfortunately, when you're looking at the screen instead of at the road, it often causes accidents, so it's kind of a safety problem in addition to just being really frustrating when you think you're turning up the AC, and instead the volume on your car goes through the roof. So, you've got automakers that are now starting to bring back buttons, and quite honestly, I think that the optimal thing, as it often is going to be some nice little convenient marriage of some touchscreens and some buttons, because there are some things where you don't necessarily need a button because you're not using it that often, that frequently, and it's not that important to operation, where you can have it on a touchscreen. There's other stuff that you're touching more often, and you want a button for that. And so, like most things, it's neither of the extremes. It's somewhere in the middle. That's probably the right decision.
To me, reminiscent of the BlackBerry versus iPhone keyboard debate. I prefer the tactile keyboard. I still look for them. I'm convinced somebody's going to start offering them again someday.
I do wish someone would.
You can buy a BlackBerry. They just don't support the operating system. So you could take a shot.
What does that even mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. So they won't get updated. The software won't get updated.
They still exist?
They're not making them anymore, but I learned this just by going on Amazon like any idiot, I guess, could. You could buy them, but they're not supported.
Like the old ones from like 2008?
No. They were updating them through only a few years ago.
Didn't know that.
Neither did I. But you'd be crazy to buy it because nobody is supporting it.
Does it matter if no one's supporting it? Because I bet no one's trying to hack it either. Like, no one even knows they exist.
But apps are getting more sophisticated and demanding. You're not going to be able to keep up with them, and maybe making a several $100 investment on something that could be incompatible with the latest version of whatever app you use is not a good idea. That's the conclusion I came to.
Interesting.
The other thing about cars, buttons, it sounds like it should be cheaper to use the touch screen, but it's not, right? To replace a touch screen, you got to replace the whole thing. To replace a button, like any tech can do, I was going to say any idiot again, to use myself as an example, could probably do with the right tool. So it seems to me they're more robust. The old way, a dial, a button, as opposed to swapping out a big TV in your.
I'll go further. I mean, again, I haven't driven cars forever. You know, it's been 30 years or so. I don't think I've ever had to replace a button in a car.
No.
Have you ever had a button break in a car aside from like, you know,
it depends on how hard you.
What button are you hitting?
The volume knob, baby.
This one goes to 12.
Right. Yeah, I've had it happen a few times.
Fandetti away.
Punch it. Yeah, I've had it happen a few times. I'm probably just a frantic button pusher. Whereas I don't get the result I want.
I did crack a screen in my old car. And
that's pricey.
I never replaced it, but I couldn't use half the stuff in the car then for the last like 3 years. I have this thing where when I get into the car in the morning, I don't do it anymore specifically because of this. I put my work bag in the back left seat on the floor, and then I would take my water bottle and I would toss it to the front right seat. It took an unfortunate bounce and bounced into like the center console and just right into the screen.
That's a good start to the morning.
And took out the screen. Ooh. So I don't do that anymore because of that.
I got to tell you, I know we got to go break, but on top of the
when you want to say something.
On top of the touchscreen stuff, have you guys seen these like mouse pad center console things?
The freaking worst.
I borrowed a car on Sunday.
I don't want to have to move a finger on a pad in order to do something.
And it was an Acura, and there's like a mouse pad cursor thing in the middle that's touchscreen itself, and I'm trying to put on the AC to the screen in front of me, and meanwhile, I'm going 40 miles an hour. I'm like, what the heck?
The people who design these cars,
they're terrible.
Are horrible at their job.
Guys, you got to experiment with technology.
Not at 60 miles an hour.
Touchscreen technology in cars is not new. I remember variations on this in the 1980s.
But have you
didn't work out though.
Have you done the mouse pad thing, Mark?
No.
It's so much worse than a touchscreen.
They did let you borrow their car, Tucker. Did you complain?
They won't again.
No.
Not after what Tucker did to it.
After what he did to
I didn't tell him about it, but it was close.
It's new. You get used to it.
Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll do a little bit of stack roulette.
Find daily interviews and full shows of the Financial Exchange on our YouTube page. Subscribe to our page and get caught up on anything and everything you might have missed. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Artificial intelligence is constantly evolving and can even be a revolutionary asset to a financial strategy. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Our new guide is called AI and Your Financial Plan. In it, we explain how artificial intelligence continues to make inroads into our daily lives and how the advent of its technologies may affect an existing or future financial plan. AI serves the public in a variety of ways, from apps to monitor personal finances to tools that analyze investments. AI is not the future anymore. Its effect is felt by businesses of all kinds on a daily basis. Call us today at 800-393-4001 and ask for your free guide. That number again is 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide online by visiting us at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Summer's here, New England, and it's the perfect time to trade the daily routine for something extraordinary. Say hello to the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean paradise. Explore the vibrant history and flavor of St. Croix, lounge on the stunning beaches of St. Thomas, or find your peace on the quiet shores of St. John. From the moment you arrive, you'll feel it. You're naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. There's no passport needed, no currency to exchange, just warm weather, clear blue water, and unforgettable experiences waiting for you. Whether you're planning a romantic escape, a family adventure, or a little of both, this is the summer to make it happen. Go to visitusvi.com to learn more and start planning. That's visitusvi.com. Your island getaway is closer than you think. The U.S. Virgin Islands, where summer never ends. Book your trip today at visitusvi.com. An unexpected nursing home stay can be devastating to your savings. Call Cushing & Dolan today and request their new guide called Last Minute Medicaid Eligibility. Protect your assets from the nursing home and maintain your wealth. Call right now, 866-848-5699. Or request the guide online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
Hear the Financial Exchange every day from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. Keep it here for the latest business and financial news and the trends on Wall Street. The Financial Exchange is now live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Now's a great time to register for the DAV 5K, taking place on Saturday, November 8th at Fort Independence on Castle Island. The race has sold out each of the past 4 years, and slots are continuing to fill up, so don't delay. Visit dav5k.boston and reserve your spot, or join our team here at the Financial Exchange by registering under Team TFE. That's Saturday, November 8th for this year's DAV 5K. Sign up now at dav5k.boston.
All right, I just got a notification from CNBC that the president has posted new trade letters today. 6 countries: the Philippines, Brunei, Moldova, Algeria, Iraq, and Libya. So I decided to go through and, see what the deal is in terms of, hey, how much does the United States actually import from the Philippines? And the answer is we brought in $14 billion of goods from the Philippines last year. So not a ton. That probably makes the Philippines like a top 30 trading partner, but like our biggest 5 or 6 we import, hundreds of billion from, so not that much. The other countries on this list, okay, just if you're wondering like why this isn't impacting markets at all, Mark, do you know how much we import from Brunei in a given year? $248 million, which is nothing. That's like 1 minute of revenue for Amazon or something like that. Do you know how much we import from Moldova?
Well, you told me during the break.
Even less, $142 million. What about Algeria? How much? What are Algerian imports? Actually kind of high, $2.5 billion. I bet it's a lot of energy, stuff like that, related things along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Camels, yeah.
Camels are not energy.
No, I was in addition to.
Oh, got it.
They are in a way. They do,
Iraq about $7 billion.
In a way, they do provide energy.
True.
Work.
Iraq, $7 billion. Again, mostly energy. One would expect.
Boy, they can't catch a break.
And Libya, $1.4 billion. So the total imports from all these countries are less than $10 billion.
You think we'd cut Iraq a break after turning their society upside down for 20 years? No, you get tariffed.
In any case,
good luck with that.
This stuff does not matter. The stuff that matters, what are tariffs going to be on China, Japan, South Korea, the EU, India, the countries that we actually import a lot of stuff from. You can impose 100% tariffs on Cyprus. It doesn't matter because we import $60 million of stuff a year from them, and it's not going to impact us in any meaningful way. You do that on Germany, there's a very different reaction in markets, but this stuff just doesn't matter because these are not countries with which we have significant amounts of trade on any, meaningful level.
Doesn't seem like a good use of anybody's time either, the inevitable back and forth with the Moldovans.
I don't know. Could be. Moldova's nice this time of year.
That would be an even bigger waste of resources if somebody actually flew there.
It could be nice. That's all I'm saying. Fed goes to Jackson Hole every year. Why not make it Moldova? What do you got for me, Mark?
Did you know the FTC had adopted a rule last year to make it easier to cancel subscriptions? It can be infuriating to cancel.
That you had to be able to cancel the same way that...
Yeah, as easy, with the same ease, right? And we all know that it's very asymmetric, very hard to even cancel a subscribe and save. You have to drill down 5 levels. And unfortunately, an appellate court, federal appeals court, suspended implementation of the rule because the required cost-benefit analysis was not performed. So if you were looking forward to that, like I was, making it easier to cancel things, not apparently going to happen. That's not to say it won't, but apparently there are some procedural steps.
Couldn't the court just be like, you know what, you didn't follow the right procedures, but everyone hates the way this works right now, so we're just going to let it slide?
Right.
I mean, I understand why from, a rule of law perspective you wouldn't want to do that.
Well, the irony is it's hard to cancel hard cancellations.
Exactly.
Isn't there some irony there?
Right, we're having trouble canceling the cancellations.
Yeah, and a court just made it doubly, triply, or whatever hard, yeah.
You have to file in this court on a Tuesday.
A little bit of irony.
Yeah. Please bring your original signed docket to the court, as you can't do this remotely.
So normally we don't like onerous government regulations. We're free market people here, I think, for the most part, at least speaking for myself, but...
Anyways, as we finish up here, markets remain slightly positive. We're done for the day. Back at tomorrow. We got jobless claims coming up then.